Fruit and Veg Pledge is a charter for best business practice in the fresh produce sector. And we're asking all the retailers and the intermediaries, the packers, the processors, to sign up to the Fruit and Veg Pledge so that we've got a thriving, profitable industry for the future.
We're here at London Zoo, as you can see, endangered species at London Zoo. We hope that the horticultural sector, whether it's field veg, potatoes, fruit, our members are going to be part of that endangered species going forward. And that's why this pioneering report, Catalyst for Change, has been written by the team, by Hayley, Sarah, the Horticultural Board. They have unearthed some pretty unsavoury practices, disappointing practices, practices that need to be challenged right across that supply chain. I believe if we can tackle that situation, then I believe the industry, from growers right through to retailers, will be in a far better position going forward. So we, the Horticultural Board, are going to show leadership, and it's highlighted through the report on where we can improve that change for the better going forward.
There are a lot of challenges that affect us. A lot of time, a lot of cost, a lot of effort goes into producing these crops. These are not cheap crops to produce, and yes, we deal with the weather, yes, we deal with the challenges, but what we cannot cope with are these supply chain pressures that we feel that really do have such an impact on our businesses. It's soul destroying. I grew those crops. I want to see them on the supermarket shelf. I've grown them for the consumer. High quality, great tasting, healthy, in fact I would say world-class quality product, and I expect them to be on the shelf. We simply cannot take the strain of paying for more promotions. They've got longer, they've got deeper, and they've got more frequent. I mean, there was a time last year when certain particular crops were certainly in quite a high demand by the consumer, were constantly on promotions week after week after week, month after month. Now, when you consider that you're actually probably giving twice as much for half as much, for such a long period of time, you've got to question, as Marek mentioned, the sustainability of that.
As action is taken, we are going to see fewer British fruit and vegetables on the shelf. And that's not rhetoric, that's not an empty statement, that's reality. I mean, these figures behind me, endangered crops, this is happening now. British tomatoes, British cucumbers, spring onions. We're not saying you won't be able to get these in 3 or 4 years' time, but you may well struggle to find a British one. And it's not just these crops on the list. As you look in the report, there are other crops that are at risk. Brussels sprouts, as we've mentioned, cauliflower, lettuces, leeks. These are all things that we're producing less of, despite the fact that in all of these cases here, consumers want more. But as Sarah and Myra have outlined, growers aren't mugs. They're not going to continue to grow things where they don't see a long-term secure future, or they don't see what I think is a fair return for the efforts that they're putting in. So these are business people that are about to make some very critical business decisions. And I think what we're issuing today is a warning. This is about saying to the supply chain, to the consumer, this is happening, this is the reality of the situation, we're going to suggest ways that we can improve this, and it's up to you whether you choose to adopt that. But again, as we've said, if you don't do anything now, if you don't take action now, these crops may not be around in several years' time, so don't wait until it's too late. Well, the main thing that we're calling for, I think the culmination of this report, is for retailers, for packers and for processors to sign up to the Fruit and Veg Pledge. And the Fruit and Veg Pledge is essentially a charter of best business practice. And I think by signing up to that pledge, the supply chain has got an opportunity to say, okay, we're willing to act on growers' concerns, we hear what you're saying, and actually we want to work together to build a thriving, profitable and productive horticulture sector that can continue to deliver the high-class British fruit and veg that consumers increasingly demand.